Welcome to another episode of Culture 8 Podcast, brought to you by Ezini, your trusted partner in building thriving workplace cultures. Here we explore the intricate and dynamic world of organizational culture, uncovering insights and strategies to help leaders and teams foster environments where people and businesses can grow together. Today we are talking with Nick Battista, Sales Director with Software Resources. Welcome to the podcast, Nick.
Yeah, Gaurav, thank you for having me. And then thanks also. I just want to take a second to say thank you for even having this podcast because it's important and it doesn't get that much attention really as much as it should. And I've listened to a few of your episodes now. It's been really helpful when I think about the own way that we're going to lead and how we approach business too.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate the support, Nick. Tell us what's exciting happening with you these days at Software Resources.
Yeah, we've it's been definitely an exciting year. So Software Resources, for context, listeners that may not know, we're a national staffing and recruiting agency based out of Orlando. Been around for 33 years, working across the country, just placing talent in IT, finance, accounting, creative, a bunch of different white collar labor categories with some of the biggest companies and some of the startups and medium companies as well in the U.S. But it's a lot of fun stuff. We're working in a somewhat turbulent labor market, right? But there's still a lot of companies that need great talent, whether on a contract or a full-time basis. So we've been able to navigate that and grow a good bit. We're just looking to continue doing that.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, lots of wishes and success towards Software Resources and you personally, of course.
Thanks. Yeah, the same right back at you.
Thank you. In order for my audience to get to know you better, I would like to ask you a question. What was your very first job?
So my very first job, I was 13, actually working at like a plant nursery that I could walk to from my house. But I've been working since then pretty much in random positions. But my very first corporate job out of college was in recruiting or account management for a staffing firm also. So that's it was kind of one of those college grad shops, where they'll hire 60 kids fresh out of school and they'll see which ones stick to the wall after a few months. Luckily, I stuck to the wall pretty well, and I'm one of those lifers in the industry now.
Fantastic. I like that. You pretty much stuck to this industry, and it's obviously because you carry the entire gambit of experience all together into your current role as well, even though it's in the same industry.
Yeah. Well, it's been a wild ride, really. It's you start not really having any understanding of what the industry is or what you're doing, and then mostly thanks to great leaders and mentors along the way, bit by bit you learn what you're doing and are able to progress and then kind of pass the torch and carry that on to other people, which is, if you want to talk about good culture, I think it really is all about passing the torch on and passing the good and teaching them how to avoid the bad, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love it that you actually I'm very happy that you were fortunate to have leaders and mentors to guide you through the process, as well as now I love your mentality and your thought process to share the light, to grow other people based on what you've learned and experienced. So appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. No, that's what it's all about, right? Because everybody, I think we can learn the most from other people's mistakes, right?
Yes.
You don't necessarily have to make them on your own, although I've made plenty. So I'm trying to help other people learn from mine too. But that's what leadership and mentorship is about. And these people, if you treat them right in those relationships, become a part of your network and your community for your entire career and sometimes outside of work too, right? Like not even just in your career, but your life.
No, absolutely. You're 100% right. I used to work with a gentleman, and now he's my great friend, and he's been a great supporter of me and my company for a while now. We always have almost every 15 days or something, we have a conversation. He lives in Estonia, and from there we are having cross-border conversations. It's amazing.
Yeah. Across the world and across the years. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes, yeah. So how would you describe the organizational culture at your current company?
So what's interesting is the company has been around for a while, right? And it was started by Tammy Jaimo, and then her husband joined like 5 years later, and then they grew this wonderful team and this wonderful company over the course of multiple decades. Some interesting things that are a result of that is that they've maintained sort of that small company and family owned feel internally as they've continued to scale and grow into what is now, I mean, we're not massive, but it's a medium-sized company. We have over 170 contractors, consultants working across different clients. We have a little less than 20 people internally, but it still feels like there's that personal touch. And I think that focus on one-to-one relationships
Yeah.
really is reflected inside of the business with the people that work there, as well as externally with our clients and candidates. So I think it's all about really connecting one-on-one, right, and being direct and honest and transparent.
I love that. Especially the part, and this is just relates me to the conversation I had with the recent CEO of a staffing firm, and we talked about his company's growth, the number of people that they're onboarding and staffing across to different clients of theirs, and he shared this sort of a challenge that the contractors will be there, but they move on to other staffing firms and stuff, so they lose out on business. And my simple advice was just exactly as you said, that personal conversation relationship, not necessarily personal per se, but more second degree of relationship where you're trusting them, they're trusting you, and you're creating a support system for each other. Just to say that, why don't you do that as a method? Maybe that will create a bond between a relationship where people will stay on for longer and even work towards your company's growth and so on. So I appreciate
and that concept that you're touching on is in our industry called redeployment, right? So when you have contractors, staffing agencies will measure that rate of how many contractors are then put into a subsequent assignment and call that their redeployment rate. Every staffing agency or firm in the world has tried to crack the code on how do we raise redeployment, how do we keep the same contractors.
Yeah.
And they try everything from, measuring net promoter scores to sending swag bags to, anything that they can think of. But the thing that I've seen be most effective across the firms I've worked at and the teams within those firms that were able to redeploy the most contractors or pass them on to other assignments really did create a human connection. And there's a tendency to see it as transactional. And it's, a number, you have a head on billing out at a client. And I think that, there are people that can make a lot of money doing that, but I think that the connections they make tend to be weaker, and not as long lasting. And that's just not the way that we do business. I mean, it really is one-to-one.
You touched upon a very important point, long lasting. Think of these folks as just like your external customers or your customers, because that's what you're serving. You're serving your clients who you staff these individuals into, but these individuals are also your customers, because how you treat them, they will stay longer for you. They'll have that loyalty to work with you continuously. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, and they'll help you, right? I mean, they'll help you identify projects or areas where you can help. They'll be your biggest advocate. You create champions, right? If you treat them right, they're going to go, you know what, I've worked with a handful of these agencies. They all kind of just treat me like a number. They beat me down on my rate. They don't touch in with, like, until my contract's going to be extended. Nobody talks to me, right? You don't want to, you're not a fan of that, right? You're working with them because you needed a job at that point, and you're going to cut them loose and go to the next person that gives you the better offer. But if you feel like they have your best interest in mind and they've been treating you fairly, they're friendly to you, right? They're trying to help you. You'll go an extra mile and you'll help them. You'll champion them. I mean, it's the same way anything would work with a business relationship.
Wow, you're giving away all your tricks right now.
I mean, it's everybody knows it, but the executor, I always say ideas are free and execution is the thing that nobody can really buy.
No, that is true. That is so true. But again, all great stuff. So having said that, can you share a specific example of how the company culture has positively impacted your work or the team dynamics?
Yeah. For me, I came from this like big agency world. My first couple of roles within staffing were with pretty large firms. And there are good things and bad things that go with I guess different scales of organization. But within those larger firms, a lot of the focus is on metrics, right? And when you scale to a certain size, there is an amount of leading that has to be by a spreadsheet or looking at growth or, how many people are being sent out or whatever it is. We still have some like a focus on metrics because we do want to grow, we do want to do well, but it's not the only thing that we focus on. What I've noticed coming to SRI is that it really is about the relationship between leadership and the employees internally, between the recruiters and the candidates they work with, between the salespeople and the customers they work with. I think they've really created a culture where nobody feels like a number. And that's impacted me positively in a few different ways. I mean, for me, it's been like a breath of fresh air, right? To come in, and I'm in a high pressure industry that usually requires long hours and a lot of ups and downs and stress. And when you have a strong foundation from the company you work for, it makes it a lot easier to deal with those ups and downs. And then likewise, I've been able to give better service to my customers as well, because I'm more on an even keel, and then I'm able to pass on that, that friendly face without.
That energy you're passing on, you're creating great energy around you, and you're passing on that energy out to others.
I agree. Yeah. No, that's exactly what it is. I mean, I like to talk about it in terms of organizational or psychological safety, right? If you
Yeah,
create an environment where people feel safe to use their voice and safe to do their job, they're going to do those things in a better way than they would if they were fearing for their using their voice or their job.
that is the key. Better. Actually, that is how innovations happen, in a psychologically safe place to experiment, to fail, to learn from those failures, and not be dinged by it because we failed or we tried something experimental. So that better innovation, very, very crucial point. I like it. Cool.
Yeah, yeah, and you have to be at a company that allows for and encourages innovation too. That's important. I mean, some don't. Some say this is the way it's done, and it's the way it's going to keep being done.
Yeah.
And you keep doing it that way, and it goes good or it goes bad, but it has nothing to do with any innovation you've done.
Well, that's the problem, right? As humans, we were not built to do mundane stuff. We
Hmm.
were put into these circumstances because of the industrial era where we didn't have the technology, or it was very cheap to bring in humans to say, follow these 5 steps, nothing more, nothing less, and just keep doing these 5 steps. Very mundane, not very creative, not going to engage you at all. You're just going to keep doing this, get bored out of it, and then just because you're keep doing it because it helps to pay the bills. But it just helps to pay the bills. It's not helping you to grow. Whereas we grow as humans by doing creative stuff.
Hmm.
When think about it yourself, when you feel most exhilarated experiences when or doing something you really enjoy, it's when you're doing something creative.
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly. No, nobody is going, I mean, some people maybe, but most people are probably not going to feel exhilarated when they're like poring over the details of a spreadsheet,
Yeah,
or they're, you know, sending out a bunch of form template emails or letters, right? Like none of that is going to make you perk up. But when you have an opportunity to, in my case, creatively sell a solution to a client or connect one-on-one or solve, even if it's
yes,
a challenge, right? If you're facing an issue head on, but then you get to engage your brain and say, how will I solve this? How do I make a win for everybody involved? And we walk away from this and we went from feeling bad and now we feel good. That's
yeah,
exciting.
yeah.
But when you just kind of go through the motions, I mean, nobody's waking up every day excited to go to the job where they do the same thing every single day and aren't allowed to change it.
Yeah. That's the last part is very important. Not allowed to change it. Like, wow, what are you going to grow, and you're not going to enjoy that at all. And that's why we have this problem, right? I think we talked about it. 71% of the U.S. workforce, even global, is disengaged because they
Hmm.
don't feel the energy or the enthusiasm present in their day-to-day work. They don't feel like coming to work. They just go there because they get paid for it. They're, I read this meme sometime back. It was a lesson towards individuals who are in organizations. You're not paid for the time that you spend. You're paid for the value that you create in those hours. So, but it's hard to explain that to folks when they are not given the creative space to do so.
I agree. Yeah. No, and I think we talked about this when we met at the tag event for a while, but there's somewhat of a breakdown of trust between the employer and employee relationship. And I think that a lot of that has been contributed to by what we're discussing, where some employers are just expecting from A to B, do X, Y, Z, right? And employees are feeling stifled into that role, and they're just like, we want more, we want more, we want more. But what are we getting other than a paycheck from the organization, right? And if you're just chasing a paycheck every single day and there's no passion in what you're doing, you're going to burn out. And
Yeah.
that leads to the 71% of people that are disengaged and burnt out at work across the country.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Great. I think I skipped over one question, but I hope we can bring this back in. What elements of the culture do you find most supportive or motivating in your daily work?
Yeah, for me, it really is. I think we have a super strong culture of collaborating together and then coming together to celebrate every win. Small wins, big wins, all of them are like shouted from the mountaintop. So, for instance, in our company, anytime anybody makes a placement with a client, an email goes out congratulating them, and it's got like all these like bright, colors and an image on it, like woohoo, let's go. And at first, you might be like, oh, is that cheesy? It's not. But you do it a couple times, and you're like, wow, like people really thrive off of that because before you know it, you've got like 20 emails in the inbox celebrating this person for a job well done, and it
Yeah.
took hours and days of work to maybe months of work to get to that point. Um, and I think that has had a positive impact on everyone here, and it's something that I try to join in on and try to, champion in my interactions and celebrate every win because you're in business in general, you're going to have more losses and more no's than you're going to have wins and yeses.
Yeah.
And so it's so important to celebrate when somebody does win
Yeah.
and is able to achieve a desired outcome because it'll give them the fuel they need to make it through all of the obstacles that it took to get there.
You said it, the emotional fuel. That's going to happen. Another perspective I use and as well in this kind of situation is that um, two examples I'll give you. WD-40, they celebrated their failures because they learned from them. So
Hmm.
that was fantastic. Another thing was I was doing this learning about objectives and key results, and there was a story about the fact that there was the healthcare.gov website was crashing as soon as it was released, and millions of people couldn't get their insurance. And there was a team assigned to fix it, and so they had this whole objective, and they kept working on it towards a goal. And every day at one point particular time there'll be a crash. So they were flabbergasted, and it's like it was created by 10,000 people or something, but there was this only bunch of 8 or 9 people who were assigned to fix it. And when they figured out, when they shared this, that okay, this is the failure that we are seeing, does anybody have any idea about what it might be causing it? And there was one guy at the back of the room who says like, hey, it might be me because I run the script at this particular point in time and it might be crashing. Everybody celebrated that because now they don't have to worry about what was causing it. It was like, it's there, it's clear, now we can fix it, right? So
Yeah, well, that we talked about it earlier, but that psychological safety, right? And if that person was in an environment where they knew for a fact if they said something, they're going to get fired from their job or they're going to be reprimanded harshly, they
yeah,
wouldn't have said it. I mean, they would have tried to find a way to cover their tracks, right?
yeah,
But they probably knew they were in an organization or a team
yeah,
that they would just be happy that they were honest with them and they were able to move on and fix the issue.
exactly. Fantastic. um so we discussed the good parts and stuff. What challenges have you faced regarding the company culture, and how have you addressed them?
Yeah, so for me, the role that I was brought in a little over a year ago to fulfill was a brand new role to the company, right? So, um, my focus is almost exclusively on new business development, and to bring in new clients and go out and show them how we can help them, right? But we have this 30-year-old company that has been doing very, very well for 30 years and has done a lot of this, but hasn't really had like this department necessarily or a leader in this department. So there were naturally some growing pains coming into that culturally. I had to come in and I was from a kind of a different side of the industry, right? I hadn't been with this company and grown up with it. I did some of the things a little differently. And so there was some, melding and a little bit of what is it like storming and norming, right? Where you get in and have to figure that out. But I was really lucky because I was met with an organization, both with leadership and the employees that were really focused on growth and focused on changing things. So they didn't just say, hey, this is the way that we've always done this. We're going to keep doing it this way,
Yeah.
kick rocks. That didn't happen, right? They said, okay, well, let's sit down and talk about it. And we could talk about why we were doing things a different way, what result we were trying to have to lead to, and generate some buy-in, right? And again, that comes back to it. They had a good culture to come in with, I think, at their core and their foundation. It was good people that all had a shared mission, and I joined in with the same mission as them. So it was easy to get on the same page. But
Yeah.
naturally, when you come in and you do things a little bit differently and you're like the new guy, right? That you might ruffle a feather here or there.
Oh yeah.
But it's not a highly political organization or anything like that. So really all it took were a few just human conversations here and there. When you run into something, talk about it, come to an agreement, solve it, and it turned out better for everybody involved.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think that was. I always refer to. I mean, obviously, it's just a buzzword per se, but growth mindset is what allowed you to have these conversations where they were ready to listen and not just closed to new, different ideas. So fantastic.
Yeah, I think it really comes if you have the same goal. Like if you can get everybody to say we have the same goal, we want the same
Yes.
things to happen. I think that it's easy to come to an agreement on how you want to get there, and that's
Yeah.
where all the disputes come. Is
Yep.
you
Yep.
you're going to the same place. Do you want to take a train, a plane, a bus, a car? And people will stick to whatever their mode of transportation they like best is. When you're like, we
Yes.
just want to get to that place,
Yeah.
we can definitely agree on how to get there, right? Like we can go through everything and figure it out. And that's what it all really was, I think, in that situation.
Yeah. A sense and spirit of collaboration and just shared vision.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Um, how do you contribute to fostering a positive culture in your role?
Yeah. Well, so I think you have to lead by example in a lot of ways. And so I've taken some of the good things that I mentioned, like celebrating the small wins and being collaborative and, supportive and building those relationships and try to pass that on within my own team. So even for, like I've been working, one of my account executives is working on different deals and things they're working on. And I celebrate each small win. I try to stand up and say, like, this is what they're doing good, right? Like we need everybody to know the things that they're doing that are really positive because they're working hard at it and doing a great job. And I think that if you're in a leadership position in a company, you have to be the positive voice in any room that you can be in.
Yeah.
And really try to encourage that out of other people so that they end up carrying that on. Like it's, again, passing the torch of, in this way, positivity, but in other ways also saying, hey, here's where I've messed up. And even if it's conversations with people that aren't even really in the department that I'm in, right? And I'm not going to come in and say, I know how to do this better than you, right? Because I may not have even really done their job before. So I probably
Yeah.
can't do that better than them. I don't think I can. But I might
Yeah.
say, here's a similar situation that I've been in. Have you tried this? Here's where I've made a mistake. I think leading with your mistakes is really powerful too, rather
Yeah.
than acting like, hey, I'm perfect. I've never done anything wrong. Do what I do. I think if you
True.
say, hey, I'm a flawed human being like everybody else, here are the mistakes that I've made, and here's how I've avoided them going forward. And here's a situation you're dealing with. Don't be stupid like me and have those mistakes happen. Be smart and learn from me. And I think that just you got to be humble and eager to share and positive in most interactions with people.
Most important point, lead by example. And that's exactly what it means. It's like you know the values of the organization, you know your own values, you lead them by example, you lead them on a daily behavior, and others get to see it and they see the results. They get to see what's working, what's not working, and then you come to maybe they'll adopt it and then it becomes a shared understanding. It's a shared value, a shared,
Mm-hmm.
that's really the culture, right? Shared learnings of the organization, the shared basic assumptions, the shared vision is all culture.
I agree. Yeah. And I mean, another thing I say is, never ask somebody to do something that you're not willing to do yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So, and we are not a culture of, we're not an authoritarian culture, right? Like it's, I think we're really focused on how can we accomplish this together. I've mentioned we're collaborative, but, the way that I go about it and the way that every leader in the company goes about it is like, they'll put their money where their mouth is. If they say, hey, if we do this, we'll be successful, they'll go and do it. And I'll do the same thing. Like I'm not gonna ask a salesperson to go make a billion calls if I won't make a billion calls myself.
Yeah.
because, why wouldn't I do it if it was of such high value?
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, time for some rapid fire questions. What book do you recommend the most?
Okay, so this one's hard. I think it's kind of a toss up. I'm trying to keep it sort of aligned to culture, right? Because I read a ton of these like business books. I think Good to Great is a great option by Jim Collins. A lot of it is focused on how to build like basically a winning business that is centered around certain principles and is very disciplined. So if you are an entrepreneur or a leader of teams, I think it's a fantastic book to read about how to like stay focused on what you're doing, make sure you build a disciplined culture that is aligned to your core values. And then also, I can't just pick one. I got to pick also Radical Candor by Kim Scott.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, the point of the book is in the name, but it's basically just you have to be radically have candor with people and be transparent and have don't shy away from giving praise, don't shy away from giving criticism, and just understand that those conversations are there to make everybody feel on the same page and to again accomplish that goal that you both have.
I like both the options. I have my own reservations about Good to Great, but
it's a little old fashioned. I mean, it's some of the mentality, and it is like kind of 1990s type
don't get me
business
wrong. I
philosophy.
read books from 60s and 70s about organizational culture, so it's not just about that. It's just a little bit of the way he approaches the people part of it.
Yeah,
but
that's why I had to balance it.
Yeah, exactly. You have to balance it. What's one thing would be surprising to know about you?
Me personally, I'm kind of I'm a big theater buff. And I feel like I don't always talk about that too much, like being more of a creative type person because I don't know, everybody talks about like sports, right? But I was like a theater minor in college. I did like musicals in high school. Did like some short film stuff also in college and some acting classes in Atlanta. I go, City Springs Theater in Sandy Springs. If anybody's looking for a regional theater to go see great productions, I would recommend going to. They don't pay me to say that. I'm a season ticket holder.
Gotcha. Very cool. I would request you to throw that name on my LinkedIn. I would love to. I love theater as well.
Okay.
Growing up in Bombay, this is India. That was where my college was, and every weekend or so, we have one person who was into theater, and he would invite us all to go to watch plays and stuff, and we used to love that kind of stuff. It's like intellectual mind growth experiences and stuff. So we love theater as well. So I've not been able to, but hopefully I'll be able to go and to watch some plays and stuff. So awesome.
Yeah, I'll send it over to you. I think it's great. There are a ton of theaters all around Atlanta. I mean, and they do big name productions at the Fox as well. So no shortage of options here to go see live performances. But yeah, it's not something I share in every meeting. I don't open up a sales meeting or an interview with somebody and be like, yeah, do you like theater? But if we get to it, I'll talk about it a lot.
Yeah, fair enough. How can our listeners connect with you?
Very easy to get a hold of me. Probably one of the easiest ways is LinkedIn. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's linkedin.com/in/staffingczar. A little on the nose, I know, but it's easy to remember. And then also my email. I mean, if you want to reach out for something related to if you need help for staffing and need to hire some people, or maybe you need some advice on your job search, you can reach me at the letter N, my last name Battista, at softwareresources.com.
Awesome. Well, there you have it, folks. Another insightful, awesome conversation with Nick. Thank you so much. And we had the pleasure and honor of hosting you. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you. Pleasure's all mine. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.